Hey, what's going on YouTube? I know I haven't been on this channel in a while and I have to apologize. I'm on my second channel, capital M, which is going to be Massis Outdoors right here on YouTube. I'm building an off-grid cabin on that channel and I've been kind of preoccupied that, and I've moved out of the city. I've had to abandon my shop. A lot of strange stuff has happened since I've really produced any last of the videos. Anything I've uploaded recently has been older videos that I've just had sitting on the back burner. But I'm helping a friend out today. He dropped me off a machine. He's been kind of asking me for a while, and I just tried to get a chance to get to it. It's a cool go-kart. It uses a little 110 motor. I apologize for the wind. It's a crappy day today, but I have to get this thing done. Why don't I flip this camera around and let's check out what needs to be done on this machine and see if we can get it running again. Alright, trying to do a little videoing in between the wind. Oh Lord, here comes another gust. I seriously apologize. I wish I had an external mic on this camera. This is a TSI Rebel 3. It's new to me. But what we got here is a little Tao, I believe 110, little four-wheeler. It's kind of pretty cool. Walking around checking it out. He's got a little issues. I think he's going to do the rust work. I might end up doing it for him, I'm not sure. But the goal today is to get this thing running. It will start up and run, but as soon as you give it throttle, it dies out, and I know what that's going to be. Not sure how good this camera is getting in here, but what it is the carburetor, the main jet's going to be clogged on it. Simple 2-bolt setup. We're going to remove we got the throttle right here, we got the choke up here, we got the little choke lever up here, which is pretty cool. It's got off and on kill. It takes a key. It's got a little horn. These are for the lights, and I'm not sure. I think this is what gear selection you're in. Simple shifter, forward, neutral, reverse. Pretty basic. Oh, you know I got a viewfinder on this thing, unlike my old camera. Still can't manage to get y'all in the frame. I'm sorry about that. Parking brake. Little off-road lights. I'm going to see if I can somehow fix this for them. Check the oil already. It does have a decent oil. It's full. It's not super dirty. But the main things I think today is I got to fix, let me see if I can get it in here. We got to fix one of these terminals. He lost the original bolt or the nut or something combination. So I got to get that. We got to charge that battery. Got to clean that carburetor. And while I was looking over the machine, I noticed a wire had been broken, possibly chewed through by squirrels, so we're going to go through and check everything else out. And he did forget to leave me the key, so I'm going to see if I get this carburetor cleaned out fast enough, if he can run me over the key. Otherwise, I'll just end up possibly just hot wiring, which these ignition systems are pretty easy on these. I'll just probably bypass the key, and we'll go ahead and be able to start it up without it. So what I'm going to do right now, I guess I'm going to put you on the tripod while I go ahead and get this carburetor out of here. And we'll go ahead and commence to take it apart. And I will show you how to open up one of these Chinese carburetors that the EPA says now are sealed. But we're going to unseal it, clean the jets, and get it back for them. Alright, so we can cut this little bit of this wind noise out. And since I really don't have a shop of sorts, I've got a shed where I'm currently renting out of the city till we move to our property, which just like this one, this is an old 15-acre farm, but we should eventually have our own. Now what we have a complete carburetor. This is a little 110 Chinese carburetor. I'm not sure the specs on it, but it is made in Japan, which tells me this is at least a quality one. So taking it off is nothing more than you're going to undo your slide, undo the loosen this little bracket, which this bracket right here just holds the cable that goes to the choke mechanism. It's pretty straightforward. So if any of y'all are watching this and you're going to do this, it's really not that hard. Two 10 millimeter bolts. You'll have like this hard plastic gasket that goes in between the intake, and you have nothing more than just your air filter, and this is an overflow tube. So for right now, we're going to take the overflow tube out. We're going to go ahead and undo this air filter. There we go. It's like I told him, this shouldn't take more. If I wasn't videoing, it'd take me like 15 minutes. Yep, he needs to replace that. All rusty, and you see the gasket. Well, we're not going to take a chance on breaking this gasket since it's obviously popping off the air filter easily. I think I have a replacement one for him. So we got it down to this. Now, if you notice right here at the bottom, this is it's a little screw that you can help drain the bowl out in case you got any issues. We're going to pull that out and take a look. And the first thing, I don't know, let me see if I can get y'all to get this to focus. Will it focus? I'm not sure how well it's focusing, but if you kind of notice right there on the tip, I see a little bit of rust. Rust is not good, but it goes back to my theory. So now that I see that, I'm just going to go ahead and reinsert it. Kind of gives me a heads up before I enter one of these carbs, and that's just a preference of mine. That's how I do it. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to unseal this so-called sealed carburetor. Let me see, I'm still filming with this new camera, so guys, bear with me so I get used to it. But if you notice right here and here are the so-called screws. Now what they do is they break these off. It's a special type screw. They're made to so-called break off, so that way you cannot enter the carburetor. Now why they do this, I don't know. The EPA must have a hard-on for homemade mechanics, or shade tree mechanics, or whatever mechanics. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just literally, there's like, I don't know how well you can see that, but right in the center, as you can see with the original little head that they used to screw it down where it snaps off, what we're going to do is we're going to center drill that, then come back with a step bit, and that should be it pretty well. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to just do this off camera, because you want to keep your drill dead 90 to the center. Go slow and easy, and I'll bring you back as soon as I'm done with that part. We'll drill it out, and I'll show you how to use the step bit in there. Alright guys, let me get my little outdoor cat here down. Just a quick tip, sometimes you have to play around. If you try to go with a small drill bit first, sometimes because of the way they break them off, it's hard. So what I did is just use the step bit, just barely go in there, and now what I'm going to do is find a drill bit that almost looks like it's going to take out the diameter of just the top of the screw. Nothing bigger. We're just going to try to break that free. Let me see if I can kind of show you an idea. This is, because somebody's going to ask me later, it's a 13/64. So right now I kind of made a little pilot hole. What we're going to do is just go in and try to eat out the top of that screw, which basically says flush, and what it's going to leave us with is just a nub. So don't go down too deep, because you want that nub so you can finish taking it out, or otherwise you're going to have to come back in and tap the whole brand new hole. Alright. Woo! Just got a cracked open. I can't not even speak today. We see the inside of the bowl. Let me see. I don't know, my lighting's crappy. You know what? If I have to, there we go. I should put my camera light on here, but I think you kind of get the idea. This sucker is full of debris on the inside. We got particles of stuff that's going to have to be cleaned out. The smell is the old varnish. Let me see if you can kind of see this too as well. We lift the float up and you got little pieces of debris, but as well, let me readjust these. Trying to make a decent video out of this, and if you leave enough of a stub, you should have no problem just using a pair of pliers. And that's why I said it's, well, I'll do this off camera because it's kind of hard to sit here and film and do this for y'all. But if you notice, kind of like that one, there's just enough of a nub laying up, and there's corrosion on the top side where they go through. What you're going to want to do is get these out nice and carefully, and you're going to try to keep the longest one. Run up to your local hardware store, and we'll be able to just get replacement plain screws. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead, I'll do this off camera real quick. I'll go ahead and I'm going to pull the float, go ahead and pull these two studs and these jets as well. You can use a flathead, or you can put a little wrench on this one. Just be very careful. A lot of these Chinese ones, or Japanese, whichever the case is, sometimes they're not made up to par, but we're going to go ahead and carefully disassemble this, and I'll bring you back right before I head up to the auto parts store. We're just going to go up to the local hardware store, get some replacement screws, finish cleaning this out, and reassemble. Alright, just a real quick tip. I went ahead and done this off camera. The magic tool to clean the itty bitty tiny little holes that you're going to find in these jets. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hopefully you can. This is just a little wire off my wire brush. Normally I'll cut it, and all you're going to do, every single hole, you're going to find that little tiny hole, and you're just going to run it through back and forth, and all the holes are corresponding straight through. Just run it back and forth, and that's how you clean out the little jets. I went through and I've already done this. I've done it like 2 or 3 times. Make sure that it goes up and down. So these are clean. The next step, which I don't have any here, I'm about to go run. Since I need to run to the hardware store, I'll go ahead and get the new screws to seal this thing back up. I might as well go ahead and pick up a can of carb cleaner, and I want to try to blow all these passages out. We're going to clean the inside of this bowl. We're going to clean everything out of here, so when it's reassembled, should have no reason but to run. So I'll be back with you guys. Let me go ahead and do that, and when I get back, we'll finish cleaning this thing up, and I'll let you know what size the magic screws are. Oop, stepped on the cast tail by accident. So I'll be right back here in a moment. Let me go get that stuff, and I'll bring y'all back along. Alright guys, I apologize again for the wind, but there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. Now, went ahead and got some carb choke cleaner. You have to be very careful with this for such components as this rubber gasket. Even though it's considered carburetor cleaner, it's really not good. It'll eat up some of the rubber components. So I went ahead and blew out all the passages, including the jets. Now it's just time to really just reassemble it all. The small one should be the idle jet. I guess I better flip this around. So it's just nothing more than getting this all put back in. Just run them down so they're nice and snug. No reason to He-Man them. And this is going to be the main jet. Make sure we can get this. We'll go ahead and just move it over here. And everything is cleaned out. So there we go. And we can't forget the all-important needle and seat. Now let's get... Sometimes this is easier said than done. Just also inspect the tip on the needle. We're going to make sure we don't have no gunk. Nothing that could hinder this thing from wanting to run, work properly. Alright, insert that. And I'm already betting just that trash that was in the bowl was helping clogging up some of the, just barely clogging the jets. Alright, now double check it. Oop. Yeah, that's moving a little past our parameters. Alright, let me take this out. And while I was out, I went ahead and made a trip all around this small little town from one end to the other. And we're just going to verify that that moves freely, which it does. Now, just watching this gasket, I guess it would help take out this remnant of the screw. And we'll toss that. Let's see. This is supposed to go on, I believe, one way. And we just want to make sure that you put this on correctly. Alright, and it does fit more freely one way than the other. So, now we got the bowl. Now we need to, we got the bowl put back on. We need to be able to screw this down. And as I said, This is a 4-.70 by 12. If you could read my, let me make sure in the viewfinder, if that makes sense. There we go. Don't ask me what all those numbers mean. It's all metric, but you need 2 of them. This is the part that gets a little bit easier. We're gonna set a can on there. Carbs cleaned. As I called my buddy, so I don't have to hotwire his machine here. Asked him nicely to bring me over the key. But if I get antsy and I want to go ride, then I guess I'm gonna hotwire the machine for him. Which the wiring on these little machines are so simple. It's really not much to it now. Let's, I guess, put these on evenly. Make sure you got the bowl seated down. So what I'm going to do next is I've got a little laundry list of odds and ends stuff that needed to be done on this particular machine. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and finish this. We'll go ahead and put, go ahead and reinstall this off camera, and I'll bring y'all guys back along, and we'll see whatever else we're going to piddle away with this thing to get it going. I'll be right back with you guys. So, anybody see a problem? Here's one half of a fuse, if you can see it back here. Here's the other half. That's because some critter has chewed through it. I noticed that. I also noticed a couple of these things, like there's a CDI box that's just hanging here. So I went ahead and grabbed some zip ties. And there's another one. There's another connector down here underneath the battery. Let me see, I'm not sure if you can, there we go. Hopefully you can see this. Right here's another set of different connectors, and what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to zip tie this for them out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and repair this so we can send power up front. Got the battery installed, it's dead as anything, so I brought the charger out. I'm going to go ahead and piddle away at this. I'm going to go ahead and reconnect this, heat shrink it. And I think after here, we'll tuck this up, check for anything else that needs hanging, dangling, that needs to be put up. And I think we only got one more thing to look at, and we'll be done with this and try to see if it'll start. Alright, so we got my charger hooked up. Charger's hooked up. And went ahead and got this here zip tied out of the way. That wire's reconnected. Just zip tie this up. Carburetor's cleaned. Fuel tank is turned on, but there's no fuel, so I'm going to dump a little bit in there in anticipation of him hurrying up, because I'm actually getting antsy to find out if this works.
Or not work.
As my little partner said, or not work. So we're charging the battery. I don't think there's nothing I can do until I get a key. Well, this is what's going on. Here's the bracket, and it had 2 little 10mm bolts, and it would basically sit like this, and it would bolt up to the cart. Now, since the plastic is basically broke, we're going back to our friend the duct tape and zip ties. Alright, minus duct tape. So what I'm doing, we're just going to fish through, 2 of these, and we're just basically going to zip tie it in best I can do. The plastic is very brittle, so let me go ahead and get this done, and I'll be right back. Alright, just like that. It might have been not the most appropriate fix, but it is a kid's cart, and these are just cheap Chinese lights. I have spoke to him about possibly replacing these with something like a LED. It will consume less power, and it's going to be brighter than these. I believe these are halogens. Actually, I'm wrong. They're just cheap, standard little light bulbs. But at least you don't have one light, which is going to be that one. It just wasn't just dangling like the other one. Wasn't dangling and just kind of held up to the roll bar with a zip tie. Now it's got 2 zip ties that hold it to the mounting bracket, and at least it's up. Should be easy for him to repair when the zip tie rots. So for the most part, this thing is done. I went ahead and repaired everything that I had agreed to, so now we're just down to the final of adding fuel and giving it a start. Alright guys, this is the moment of truth. This is actually like the next day. I've had to charge my little jump box. Kind of got tired of trying to use it's a rusty set of jumper cables that my buddy had. But when all else fails, oop, sorry, still trying to get used to this camera guys, so you're gonna forgive me. But everything's connected, the carb's on. I went ahead, let me see, so used to my smaller camera, now trying to go a little bit better photography here. And you can see, hopefully it's in focus right there. That's a fuel filter. Went ahead and installed a fuel filter in this. We got the jump pack, so we'll go ahead and turn that on. Turn the key on. And which one was it? And that's run. It runs. Still got an adjuster out. Took it already for a quick test spin before I brought you guys back. I just wanted to make sure everything was running just fine and dandy. I idled it down a little bit, but these motors always seem to run high. I don't want to idle it down too far. Finishing going over everything. Like this here, I don't like the way this is hanging. So I'm gonna, this is actually supposed to go up underneath. So I'm going to get this done. My buddy's actually coming to pick it up. There's a couple of odds and ends I want to go through. Finish zip tying stuff like this here. I'd feel a little bit more comfortable if we zip tie that out the way. Before his kids take it from here, there's, let's see, there's a couple of odds and ends that I've recommended. Something like the safety cage is missing a bolt here, which are notorious to rattle through. I told him if he would like, I have a bottle of blue Loctite. I'd be more than happy to let him, if he assisted me, we can go through and torque down everything, and we'd make sure every nut and bolt was on here. I did my part as a buddy, so I went ahead and took care of this. Now I'm waiting on him. He's supposed to be bringing me a little, this is, I found out, this is a 125 motor. He has a little 110, which is basically the identical same thing. Just a little differences in cc's, just the head's going to be different. Same, almost same carb, everything. So I told him bring that on. I charged the battery. This is I think a week ago for him. Still yet to install it, so I said just bring it to me. I'll install the battery, and all worst case I'll just use the jump box. Don't know if I'm gonna bother with a video on that thing, but you never know. Guys, I always appreciate you watching me, watching my videos, commenting, rating, subscribing. Guys, give me a thumbs up. And also, if you kind of like my videos on this channel, I do have a second channel that I've been producing more videos on. It's capital M, it's Mascis-Outdoors, right here on YouTube. Thank you guys. The brakes do still work. Yeah. Oh, this, be careful. I want to zip, like I was just showing my audience. We're going to zip tie that out the way. I don't like the way that's hanging. What, this? Yeah, and we're going to go on that one. But go ahead and hop in and let me know what you think. Now it's re-idled down. Oop. Be careful, you will get muddy. Well guys, I figured I'd bring you along for this little quick file footage. Couldn't end the video just at showing y'all it running. I did went ahead and idled it down. Brought it down probably 500 RPMs, give or take. Another happy camper. Went ahead and let him take his son out for a spin. Probably the first time it's been running in some months. Guys, like I said, always rate, comment, subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. And check me out on my second channel, Mascis, that's a capital M-Outdoors. Surprised he didn't get stuck.